G'day listeners and welcome back to another episode of the Keeper League podcast. We're the AFL fantasy podcast that doesn't talk about the superstars. We only talk about the lesser knowns and the players who will bring value to your draft and Keeper League teams. My name's Heff and this week I am joined by Matty D'Sena. Welcome back to the studio, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
You're the first double up guest this year, man. Maybe that says something about your performances this year. I'm not sure what the goal is there. How do you feel the first episode went? And are you glad to be back on the show?
Yeah, we did Defenders.
Yeah.
I thought it went okay.
That's good.
Defenders can be pretty vanilla in this modern fantasy world that we live in. But
I've looked at the numbers of all the four we've done so far. Which position do you think would have had the most interest?
probably forwards.
Forwards has the most, and then midfielders on top of that.
So I'm doubling up and I'm probably last in the pack.
Well, the reason why I've got you is last year we had you on the show and this was the most popular episode of the year according to Spotify Wrapped. We did the rankings and that's what we're doing today. We're ranking my top 100 ranks for keeper leagues and we're doing your top 10 draftee rookie ranks. And yeah, I think people want to get a load out of the rankings to know what to pick in Dynasty and also what to pick in the upcoming keeper league draft. So, it's a big mantle. Do you reckon you can cope with the pressure?
Yeah, no pressure at all, is there? Jeez. We'll see how we go. I got a few that I really like, so
that's good. That's
see
good
where we end up.
Before we get into it, we should plug Keeper Fantasy, our friends there. Now they put out a new feature last week. Did you see what that was?
The 3D, 2D field placings, or are you talking about the?
I'm talking about the position-based scoring.
Yeah, actually, I did see that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, there have been a few features. It's hard to keep up with everything they've added, but the position-based scoring. So what you can do is set how players score at different positions. So, for example, you might have forwards. The only way that they can score fantasy points is by kicking goals, and the midfielders, the only way they can score is by getting kicks and handballs. Or tackles and stuff like that, and then your defenders might only score by getting spoils or rebound 50s. It can kind of completely reshape which players are more popular. So, for example, if you've only got goals for forwards, you're picking the guys that are winning the Coleman, Ben King,
Sam Darcy.
Yeah, those guys, he's already fantasy relevant, but those kind of guys become way more relevant in these formats and, make some extra value to extra players. So it's a pretty good initiative. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, big fan. I also saw that he had, you could almost positionless players and you could drag them into different positions. So Harry Sheezel gets, he averages a certain amount as a mid, but if you put him as a forward, he'll get more because you can drag across almost different positions.
Well, I thought it was a little bit less actually because Harry Sheezel can only score by scoring goals up the front. So there's no value as a forward. You want to play him in the midfield.
Or even as a defender.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can put him wherever you want.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. So it's pretty awesome like that because it kind of completely changes the dynamic. And I think there are players out there that just want something different from their fantasy. I know Supercoach gets a good rap because it's not all just mark, kick, handball possessions. There's different things that come into play. And I think this is a really good way to kind of even that up between AFL Fantasy and Supercoach where you still have actual things going on. Like my gripe with Supercoach is you're like, why the hell did that guy get 150? And this guy only got 120, but they played pretty similarly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What's the missing
unknown
stat that he's getting to duplicate his score or move it up?
Whereas this way, that they're still going to have the scoring and all that kind of stuff, and that they're still going to have the possessions, but it becomes certain stats become more valuable at different positions and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so
I think
pretty cool initiative.
Bridges that gap between a good actual footballer and then a good fantasy footballer.
Yeah, I think so.
And you can sort of maybe what eye test becomes a lot more than rather just, this bloke just absolutely pigs it up. Yeah,
correct. Or, and now the other thing is as well, I always find with fantasy is if someone's injured, someone usually pulls into that slot. So then there's a big shit show at the waiver wire, everyone trying to get into that player that's going to replace them or whatever. It kind of just stops a few inequalities, I think, in some of the scoring. So I think it's a really good initiative and it's going to be pretty interesting to see. I'm pretty keen to start a league that uses it just to kind of test it out. Maybe even a single season league or something like that would be good fun. We might have a chat about that.
I'm in, mate. Right. Sam Darcy, pick one for me.
There we go. Kicks a bunch of goals. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the new keeper stuff this week. So make sure you check it out. Just before we begin, we're going to do my top 100 ranks. My full list of ranks is probably going to be out on Wednesday. It's probably taking a little bit longer than I would have expected at the moment, but I am working hard on them and I'm trying to get them right. I find rankings a very nervous thing to put out, especially 3 sets of 400.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. That's a lot of football, a lot of players.
At the end of the day, these are just all my thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and how I would rank players, in my brain and my team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very hard to put yourself into different shoes, what other people would do, where their teams are at and all that sort of stuff. And keeper leagues are so unique in the way that they play, and the rule settings and all that sort of stuff. So, just keep that in mind when I'm looking at these ranks. I always get a few nutcases on Twitter and Facebook that really go at me about my rankings each year, which doesn't feel good when it happens.
Yeah, but that's the life you live, isn't it?
I know, it sucks. So I'm just got to put that out there. So yeah, if you disagree with some of these, it's probably a good thing because it means you've got your own opinions. It means you've studied the game long enough to actually have those opinions. So yeah, don't get upset at me if you disagree. Just kind of
you're thinking about the game.
Back yourself in.
If you see something, back yourself in. I think, and like you said, almost every league is different based on how many you're keeping, how many players you got, against, what your positions are. Do you have rookie lists? Do you have injury lists? Like there's no two teams are the same.
Yeah, correct. And no two opinions are really the same, really, like when it comes to ranking these players. So, yeah, just important to keep that in mind. But that said, there was a lot of good feedback last year on these rankings. And they've been like, my inbox has basically just been flooded. Like, when are they out? When are they out? When are they out? Like every day. Sorry to people I've replied to and felt short with because I'm writing the same message probably 4 or 5 times a day. And I think I've said it on the podcast like multiple times when they're going to be out, but that's all right. They'll be out by Wednesday this week. All right. So
just got to drop them, mate. That's how it all goes away.
Exactly. So here they are. Hopefully they stack up again. We're going to start off with 100 to 91. So coming in at number 100 is Willem Dersma, the number 1 draft pick. We've got 99 Lawson Humphries, 98 Toby Nankervis, 97 Dyson Sharp, 96 Sam Durham, 95 Rory Laird, 94 Mason Redmond, 93 Justin McInerney, 92 Dan Curtin, and 91 Matthias Philippou. Now, I'm looking at these, and I've already adjusted some of these because I copied and pasted them into this show doc and said, I didn't like that, and I've moved them already. So they're probably going to end up different when they come out at 100, but anything that stands out to you there?
2 rookies.
Yep.
So Dersma and Sharp, and you got Sharp above Dersma, which is a bit of a...
Well,
they're about the same, really, aren't they?
The general consensus is that Sharp's going to be the better fantasy scorer. I'm firmly in the camp, never trusted Dersma. We've been burnt twice. I feel like we're going to get burnt a third time, that's all. Going to West Coast where they don't put up fantasy scores at the best of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like a mixture of long-term and like looking at them first up as well. But I do rate Sharp a little bit higher, but only by 3 picks.
Yeah, true. I think for me, the standout there is there's a lot of players that are sort of 21, 22, 23, 24, and then you've got a couple that are 31, 32. Yeah. So it's like that scoring versus age versus potential around that time.
And that legit is the hardest thing about rankings, like especially when you're doing rebuilding and contending. It's like how far, if you've got a rebuilding list, how long do you ignore like a Lockie Whitfield or a Max Gone? Do you push them out to 300, or is there still like a sensible time to take those guys? You know what I mean?
That's the thing, you got to take them. They're going to score. I know that some people in my league, when I offer them those kind of players for trades, they say they're dinos.
Yeah, exactly.
But then they keep someone who averages 60 and Max Scorn goes 110 for 2 more years. So it's the balancing act, and you almost need to stick to whatever you're doing. If you're rebuilding, contending, you just stick to that plan, I think.
If you're just looking at a few of mine, I've got the ADPs from Keeper in here as well. Like I've got Nank higher than his ADP, but I find rucks are very hard to come by, and I think Nank is a good one because he's got no... Like, I worry a few people teams are going to play dual rucks this year, and he's already played with a dual ruck, Samson Wright, who does sweet FA anyway. It doesn't really affect him at all. So it's like, and there's still so far beyond like having another ruckman to break through. So I still think he's probably got 2 or 3 good more years in him.
I agree.
And you're still going to have like a 95 ruckman there.
Top 5, 6 ruckmen are pretty hard to find, and when you find them, you just sort of stick with them and you ride the highs and lows because normally they're 15 points better than the blokes beneath them.
I was surprised that Lawson Humphrey's only going at 131 in the ADP. I've got him in my top 100. I reckon he's a long-term jet.
Yeah, a few people sliding on him. I think with just Geelong. Just this Geelong factor. But then Tom Stewart's 32.
Yeah.
Connor O'Sullivan, he's probably more of a key defender.
But he's silky smooth.
Yeah, so there's just that balancing act. And I think maybe Lawson Humphries, you watch, he'll play in the WA versus Victoria game. Yeah. He'll tear it up and he'll go, he'll fly back.
Yeah, that's probably a fair point. That'll likely happen. And then the other one I've dropped Daniel Curtin down to 92. He was a lot higher, but it just comes down a little bit with the injury. There's a good question in the listener questions a little later on about the injuries. We'll get to that. We won't touch on that too much now. All right, let's go from 90 to 81. At 90, I've got Rowan Marshall. At 89, I've got Josh Weddle. 88, Jack Graham. 87, Jack Steele. 86, Marcus Windhager. 85, Sam Lawler. 84, I've got Liam Baker, and I already don't like that one. I've taken him out. 83, George Wardlaw. 82, Darcy Cameron. And 81, Harvey Langford. I do think Liam Baker improves because he'll get a consistent halfback role. He won't be going, half forward, midfield, halfback. I think he'll play across
play
there.
a consistent role. It should, get a consistent
But
scoring.
I think when I was ranking him, I thought he was a lot younger than 28 years old.
Yeah, well, he's won 2 flags.
I thought he did that as like a kid, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then
so he's been around the block a fair bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of guys in there in this sort of section where those could be anything blokes. Where you take a punt on a flyer.
Yeah.
Like a Wardlaw, I think he's
done a hamstring tear, I think.
Yeah, just a hammy. So again, he could be anything, Wardlaw,
Yeah.
but I think you just have to look at the injury history. Langford, the one for me, I would probably actually bump him up a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Just because the opportunities are going to come his way compared to maybe some of the others. But yeah, again, Lawler, I think that's about right.
Yeah, I do rate Harvey Langford, and I probably should have him a little bit higher. It's more that he strikes me as a guy that might battle a bit without having enough help this season, and he might be better in the second or third year time. I know he'll get lots of opportunity, but I also think players like Trent Rivers are going to step up. I think Jack Steele, they haven't recruited Jack Steele not to play him.
Yeah, he's number one. Viney's
he's had an injured.
Viney's not training at all with his Achilles. So
yeah.
I think Jack Steele's literally number one, Langford's number 2, and then, Rivers and Langford and one of those blokes. But then Salem's out again.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
Salem injured, is he?
Yeah.
I did not miss that one.
Yeah, he's running, I read a report, he's running in the rehab group.
Okay.
Along with Giath and a couple others. So
yeah, right. So it might be a bit of
a bit going on there.
But
I like Royal Marshall as well, like you said with Nank. And I think he has value. If he gets traded to Geelong, he's... he probably goes up 40 spots.
That's my whole thinking of him. That was Geordie's take a couple weeks ago, and I thought that was a pretty good one. But he's ranked so highly, in the ranks. I couldn't justify taking him. In the ADP ranking. Sorry, he's 49th. Overall,
Nah.
That's way too high for a guy who's got so much uncertainty to his role. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think 90's about
and
right.
He's not done. Not like when he was a forward. When he had Paddy Ryder back then, he was absolutely lighting it up. Not any time when he only really scored well when Ryder was out.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a lot more concerned than the punters are out there. Jack Steele going high in the ADP, so he's a lot higher. I thought 87 was generous, but people are taking him around 63rd
I
overall.
guess he's shown in the past he can get 120s. That's what it is. So it's I'll take a punt on him.
Yeah, especially if Viney's out as well. He could just get tackle after tackle after tackle and be all right. Let's go from 80 to 71. So coming in at 80 is Josh Lindsay. 79 is Clayton Oliver. 78 is John Noble. 77, Sean Manor. 76, Will Day. 75, Zeke Hewland. 74, Callum Mills. 73, Daniel Arnable. 72, Tom De Koning, and 71, Matthew Kennedy. Now, there's a few rookies in there. I've got 3 that are in there, draftees. Do you think that this season is you could throw a blanket over who people think are the genuine number 1 pick as in comparison to last year before he got injured, everyone thought it was Jagger.
Yeah.
And then the year before that, I think it was McKercher.
Yeah.
Then before that, we had, it wasn't actually Sheasel, but Sheasel ended up being the best one. I can't remember who people picked the best out of those. But then there was Nick Dacos the year before that as well. There had to be a bit of a consensus. There was always a consensus number 1.
I think it was Will Ashcroft for the year.
Yeah, it was. Do you think there's it's a bit harder to have a general consensus, or do you think people's opinions are way more divided on who the number 1 pick is?
I think it's way more divided than it's ever been. In the last few years, you have an out and out number 1, and I think this year it's literally throw a blanket, and it gets even more throw a blanket once you get from about 4, 5 to about 9, 10. It's just they could all. It's really on roll, and when one of them's going to pop, I think. So
yeah, I think so too. It's a pretty tricky year. Probably as a sign, maybe it is a sign of a weaker draft. I know we didn't like saying it, but maybe that is a sign just by the way people are drafting this year.
I think it's more a weaker draft in terms of the top end, of ceiling, but you might have just a lot of really good B graders, low A graders, compared to your A pluses that we've had in the past.
Yeah, fair enough. Just going through a few of the talking points here. Josh Lindsay, got him 3rd in my rookie ranks. Hewland 2nd, Arnable 1st to round out my top 5 there with Sharp and Dersma rounding it out. De Koning is another one that slides with Marshall because I think they just ruck in tandem. But all reports I've heard is he's absolutely dominating. They're going to give him the keys this year. So it might not be as bad as people expect. But I still think 46 overall is high for Tom De Koning.
Yeah, I agree. It's way too high.
Yeah,
for me, especially being a ruck. Just with those, it's what's that 4th round. If you're doing a 10-team draft for 4th or 5th round pick, and you're picking someone with uncertainty, that's going to be
it's
your
4th round if you're a 12 team.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. Which is like most people, I feel like, are 12 teams. So like, that's why I've got him at 72. And then I've still got Will Day top 100 despite the injury. But my confidence is fading fast. I'm being generous, I think.
Yeah, he's getting to the age where he's going from potential to like this is what he is. Like, you know what I mean? And he's on that fine line where eventually, you know, if he gets another injury next year, it's almost like he's going to 150.
I think he might. Like in some ways, it could benefit him though, because like, what if like the injuries like are happening because he's shouldering too much load of the midfield, and they go, well, let's keep him safe. Let's just put him across halfback, and he can have rack up and, you know, have soft touches and stuff like that. So there's 2 ways to look at it, you know?
Yeah.
Like it could go okay.
Could help him. And then that means Hawthorn are looking for more mids.
Yeah.
Spread the load. And then he could almost be like that Patrick Dangerfield kind of type where it's like, let's just throw him in the midfield for this quarter when we need to win this game.
Break the glass type thing. Anyways, let's keep moving on. So 70 to 61, we're going with 70, Jake Bowie. Still got him in there, even though he's injured. Darcy Parish, that's high, I reckon. But then at 69, Darcy Wilmot, 68, 67, Jake Saligo, 66, Jai Simpkin, 65, Hayden Young, 64, Nick Blakey, 63, Joel Frazier, 62, Zach Bailey, and 61, Jack Sinclair. Like I said, like I've looked at these and a few of these are still too high, but I'd already made the graphics for this episode. Yeah. So I wasn't going back and changing it because it took forever. So I think Darcy Parish is too high, but I also think 121 ADP overall is a bit too low. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. To me, he's exactly like Jack Steele. Like, you know that he can go 115, 120. It's just whether he can get fit and play in that team. So I understand Steele would be higher because he's probably got less injury history and more role opportunity to Parish, but I think they're literally about the same.
They're probably around the 80 mark, both of them, you know, overall.
I was going to say,
so that's probably a better way. That's probably where I'll slide him back to after this episode, and you'll see that in the ranks reflected come Wednesday. I still rate Bowie, even though he's injured. And like he's only only 6 months. Like if you're doing your first keeper league draft, like you're drafting for the first time, you're setting up your team. Like these guys with injuries slide. But I think if you're a contending team and you've got enough players to kind of hold until mid-season and then strike late, like you can justify having someone like Bowie in your side, no worries.
Absolutely.
Like it's fine.
He's only 23 as well.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a youngster that's going nuts. And you kind of knew he was going to be a good player from the grand final year. Because I think he played his first 12 games and flagged up in his first season or something.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
And he didn't lose a game.
Yeah, he had a record or something for most wins starting a career or something.
Yeah, so like that's reflective, I think, a little bit of how good of a player he is to actually get a game in that side and end up with a flag. And now he's 23 and, you know, putting up good averages, just injured at the moment. Jack Sinclair, 35 ADP. I reckon that's high.
Especially for a 30-year-old.
Yeah,
but I guess
30.
maybe people thinking that Naz is going inside, so Sinclair's backline, but...
he will skyrocket, but I still reckon that's a lot to invest in a 30-year-old who...
Agree.
I think he might be 31 this year.
And he hasn't been like proper guru whole career. He's only really had this purple patch in the last few years.
And even last year, I think it felt like a tale of two halves where there was patches of him being not as good. Like still like 90, you know what I mean? But then he had some skyrocket kind of weeks and then kind of dropped around a bit. But that could be to do with Naz as well. So that might change a little bit this season if he stays in the midfield, which is looking likely. Simpkin I've got pretty high, but I have a bit of a contact at North. And I've heard some really good things about him. More so just in terms of like everyone's worried about like because he wanted to trade and all that sort of stuff. But apparently their midfield coach, who I know quite well, I know the family quite well. They've wrapped their arms around him, like brought him up. There's no hard feelings. Like we understand what happened, but we just want to get the best out of you this season. And it feels like that's what's happening with Simpkin. So it's like I'm not worried like a Zach Merritt situation where they could just like shaft him a bit. I feel like that's less likely with someone like Simpkin. I still think as a forward who's pretty young, what is he now, 27, but like you're still going to get, 3 good years of football out of him or his best out of him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree. Just the role. So North have that many mids, man. So
now Wardlaw might get a bit of run.
It's an opening for him. I owned him a few years ago when he was getting that midfield time and he was going like 120s, 130s, 140s. Like he was absolutely on fire and then he lost that role when he take off the sooks up a little bit, but he just was not the same player. So if he can get that role back, forward status.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that my sources are indicating that he might get a little bit more midfield time, or at least kind of continue on with what he had
I read
last
something
year.
that he's been training with the midfield
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
So, but also that source has been very wrong for me in the past. He
Yeah,
also
right.
told me that Sheasel was 100% playing mid in his second season, and he played defence all year. So,
Oh, boy.
you know, I think they just like to fuck with you a bit, or they don't want to give away any secrets as
Grain
well.
of salt, mate. Grain of salt.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go from 60 to 51. Coming at 60 is Max Gawn. 59 is Riley Thilthorpe. 58, Adam Chera. 57, Jai Newcomb. 56, Bailey Dale. 55, Levi Ashcroft. 54, Sam Banks. 53, Harley Reid. 52, LDU. And 51, Miles Bergman. Max Gawn's ADP is 37. I thought like 60 was generous for a guy. I know he's like 110. Like, I've got him really high in my contending. I think he's almost top 20 in my contending ranks. But I don't know. I think 60 is kind of generous, I thought, for him. But
Yeah, I agree. I just traded him to Geordie, actually.
yeah. So
For a bunch of kids. So
Yeah.
I think he's still probably going to be the best ruck in the comp. The new rules probably help him a little bit. He's pretty athletic, gets around the ground.
he'll be unaffected, and he's got no competition. I know he's got
Yeah.
Max Heath, but I don't think they'll play him together.
Tom Campbell's in a neck brace, I read, so
Yep.
he's just walking the laps. So,
Yep.
yeah, I can see why he'd go early. And again, like we said with that ruck position, there's only a handful that are good. So you get him early and then you lock him away. But for a new league, you're going to get him for 2 years. So,
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, if you're drafting for the year, what's the point of drafting a shit team straight up as well?
nah.
Like, draft a good team, have Max Gawn, try to flag up, and then
Get a couple of kids along the way.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised what you can pick up.
Yeah.
And, like, honestly, there's always someone that is not in the top 150 and they end up just skyrocketing through.
always. You can't get them all right. I don't have Thilthorpe as high as others, but I don't like key forwards, and I just don't think the Crows are. I just don't think they have as good a year as they did last year.
They've got a lot tougher opponents.
That's
They had a
my
pretty easy
thinking.
run
So
last
I
year. But
think he falls down a little bit.
I just think Crows need that one more midfielder, and then that makes everything else flow forward of the ball and makes their life a lot easier. I think Thilthorpe's a gun, but whether he's going to take that next step or just stay where he is, I'm not sure. But where he is right now is very good as a forward.
Yeah, I've got like top 60 is pretty good.
Maybe people are thinking that he might ruck and then gets a few extra points.
That never happens though. Backup ruck is the worst thing that I reckon that can happen to key forwards.
I was thinking the number one ruck.
To go into it. Oh, sorry. Yes. Well, that might be the case.
But I don't think that means Tex has to play, which I don't think they want to do that.
And McAndrew, I cop so much heat for not having Tex in my best 23 from all the Crow supporters, and then it comes out like today, like
Happy to play
yesterday, that he's
Sample.
got to play sample. It's
Yeah.
like, I told you. Anyway.
Oh, it's a bit early for footy, mate. People just
True. Sam Banks, I'm bigger on than the public. I think people have got him at 66 overall. I have him at 54, but I think shorts. I don't think Richmond even want to play short. I
Nah.
don't think they want the ball coming through
And
this guy.
I read that Vlosten's pretty far off with his ankle as well.
Yeah.
So
I reckon he's on in for a huge season, Sam Banks.
he should be the number one, really.
Yeah.
And he's only 22.
Yeah.
So
Correct. So I reckon he's going to be going all right. Let's go from 50 to 41. This guy's tricky. Nick Martin comes in at 50, and we'll talk about that in a sec. 49, Jagger Smith. 48, Tom McCarthy. 47, Lloyd Meek. 46, Isaac Heaney. 45, Dylan Moore. 44, Trent Rivers. 43, Chad Warner. 42, Brodie Grundy. And 41, Lockie Whitfield. Now, Nick Martin, as I said before, I'm finding him so hard to place because, like, you think of it in like two ways. You think of it if you're drafting a team for the first time, or you're comparing him to other players on where you're assessing in a trade. You know what I mean? And if I could give up like a player for Nick Martin, knowing he has forward status next season, it's probably going to be a pretty reasonable player to give up. You know what I mean?
I would agree.
But if I'm drafting a new team, I don't want to go early on a guy who's going to score me 0 all season because it's just going to ruin my year, you know? That's tricky.
That means you're almost admitting that you're not contending. If you take
exactly.
him in the
Like,
first-
pretty much.
First 50.
Yeah, and like, I always feel it's risky if you don't at least try in the first season because you can fall a long way back and it takes a long way to get back and that sort of stuff as well. So,
And I don't like the fact that he's had to get surgery again.
Yeah.
So he was back running, slipped when it was wet,
yeah.
and then he's had to have another surgery. So, and Essendon they just scare me with the way they handle a few things. But I've got him and I'm keeping him obviously. But then I'm admitting that I'm rebuilding almost essentially.
Yeah,
because it's
true. That's it.
straight away. So I think tough one to place, like you said. But I think the quality is very, very good from Nick Martin. Like he scored a 166 this year. Like
one of the biggest scores of the season.
absolutely tore it up. So I think it's worth the risk.
I find it weird
That's
having having Jagger Smith down this low, but it's more the knee. You just don't know how he's going to come back. That sort of stuff.
Like Carlton looks stinky with that viral video, but see George Hewitt come out and said that they had been training for 5 hours and done 28 kilometres.
We talked about that on the podcast last week. It's like, surely it was like a 40-degree day and it was like the 3 hours in or something like that.
Yeah, and then there's a video, Cripps was on a podcast with Tom Mitchell and he literally went, the one that went out of bounds on the full, that was me rolling around on my left.
That's awesome.
That's just, the two-time Brownlow medalist.
No,
put one out in the full.
Terrible player. I think I'm bigger on Trent Rivers than most. Like, for everyone who was big on Langford, I'm big on Rivers. You know what I mean? Like, that's my vibe.
And Rivers has the pedigree from a junior scorer as well.
Yeah, correct. And he's already got the role. And I always just worry about second-year players. There's, the second-year blues is the thing for a reason.
It's massive.
I'm not as big on Langford, so I'm like, the energy that people are putting in for Langford, I'm putting into Rivers. That's probably why I pumped him up a little bit.
I would agree with that. I'm big on Langford, obviously.
Yeah.
But I understand because Rivers as well, he's 24, so his body's, physically 24 to 28, 29, that's your peak.
Yeah.
So he should be the one that goes in there over Langford.
Really. I think so as well, especially, But now with Viney, like, my brain this whole preseason has been factoring it with Viney in the team as well.
Yeah.
So there might be room for both too, because it doesn't look like he's going to be there early. Isaac Heaney, he's one who fluctuates depending on which position system you're playing, because I think the ADP numbers have industry standard positions and also the keeper level positions. So he's a forward and keeper.
Forward, yep.
So I think that bumps him up the ranks a bit, so it's a bit hard, but I've pretty much got him bang on, pretty close, I think, anyway. I know, actually, people got him up really high, 28. Warner's the one I got bang on. But I'm dropping him a little bit just because of the age factor. Plus, like, I don't know where this thought has come from, but like, I feel like they're going to get Caden Cleary into that midfield mix this year and try to push him forward. That's my thinking.
I heard something similar.
Cool. All right, you've actually heard something. It's just a vibe for me.
Nah, they're looking at Cleary going inside because I was looking at Sheldrick.
Yeah. I feel like they've got to do something with that midfield because you can't play. I think Heaney's such a damaging forward for them that they've got to get him back forward.
Yeah. Not
be at the 75% CBAs as he was last season,
Yeah. Well, it was that a necessity when he went last year, the year before, wherever that year he went absolutely ballistic.
Yeah.
I think it was 2024.
Yeah. It was my first year as Supercoach. I had him captain most weeks.
Yeah. they just had a lot of injuries and he was, in there out of necessity. But then they like Warner forward as well. So can you play both, Warner and Heaney, as that forward mid?
Or do they rotate a bit more?
Yeah, and then Goulden, he's more outside. Do they, Mills has been now going to be playing defence. As
Rowbottom's definitely has to play in the midfield.
Yeah.
So it's like, I reckon they'll try to squeeze someone out, like develop another one in there this season, I reckon.
Yeah, and that's why
Cleary's my guy.
I'm just not sure about Heaney.
Yeah,
especially and if he's a mid only, you said he drops. Are you keeping him? Like, it just changes so much. The fact that the forward status, it's almost like a close your eyes and we'll just worry about it next year kind of thing.
Yeah, true. That's it. You can take a punt with these guys when they do a forward status. Kind of, Kay's mentioned that last week. Let's go from 40 to 31. 40, I've got Jasper Fletcher. 39, Tim Taranto. I've also slid him down. I think that's too high for Tim Taranto. Sam Darcy's coming at 38. 37 is Cozzy Pickett. 36, Isaac Rankin. 35, Josh Dacos. 34, Jason Horne-Francis. 33, Christian Petrarca. 32, Archie Roberts. And 31, Sam Walsh. There's a few guys in this list, I reckon, like Sam Walsh, Jason Horne-Francis, probably Tim Taranto as well, that are kind of bigger in name than they are in output. Lately.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
They don't perform, man. Like, Hornet's always injured. He's always got something. There's always something with Jason. I just find. And when you watch him, you're like, man, this bloke's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But there's always just something. Sam Walsh always has a back or he's got this or that. And then, oh man, Walsh is absolutely killing it on the track this preseason. And then come round 4, he's not playing because he's hurt his back or something like that.
I reckon the reason why Bergman's going to go big this year is mainly because of Horne-Francis, because I think they'll probably preserve him a little bit, and because they're pretty like similar. If you watch them like burst from the stoppage and all that sort of stuff, they can do similar type things. So
yeah,
I reckon, and they pretty much look exactly the same as well.
And they do. So Bergman's going to get all his touches.
Yeah.
I just think forward of the ball, Hornet's very good. So he's almost stuck in that Heaney kind of mold where you're better off playing him forward and just letting someone else who's maybe not as dynamic, but they can just get the ball, shovel it out to him, and then forward of the ball, and that low possession, high impact player rather than your accumulator.
Yeah, no, agree with that. I think Petrarca is going to have 3 more good years as a forward. That's why I've got him up pretty high. I reckon he keeps that forward status for a few more years, and he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I think so as well. I read today from the Gold Coast Match Sim that they were looking to get Noah Anderson forward more.
Okay.
Just because they just find that they've got a lot of midfield
They've got the
options.
resources, yeah.
Yeah, so they're thinking maybe we'll get Noah more explosive going forward because Noah actually is very good forward, kicks goals. Like,
Yeah. Would that open a door for someone like Humphrey then? Or
I'm hoping.
I think
yeah.
Humphrey dropped out of my top 100
Yeah.
purely because, I think that was right, purely because like I just don't see the opportunity for him. But if something like that, reshuffle
and then
happens.
Took Miller was one that's being floated as more forward.
Yeah,
or
I can see
outside.
that. I can see that more because that kind of happened already last
Yeah.
season, and I reckon he's had forward status in the past as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he had it last year.
Yeah, Sam Darcy's another one I got in here. Like, I always feel dirty having key forwards this high, but he's pretty unstoppable. I reckon his average is a little bit inflated because I think he missed that big run of games when he came up against a lot of the good key defenders. Like, he was absolutely going to town. And then you saw him in the back half of the season. He was pretty good, but like not as good as he was at the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that could have just been the injury as well. But like the thing with like guys like Darcy, guys like Thilthorpe, I think like that, they're not the best roles for fantasy, but people will go high on them because they're forwards and forwards are so scarce. Yep. Whereas I think you're better off probably letting them slide a little bit and just probably topping up your midfield and getting a few extra points that way because there's too much fluctuation sometimes with keys.
Definitely, especially with the way the game's moving so quick. Sometimes, and if it gets slow, then you need more contested marks. Which if it's moving fast as it is at the minute.
Yeah,
it can be that lead marks, and you get a lot more goals.
Well, it might happen. It might get even quicker with less stoppages and stuff like that. Like I read an article today saying that rucks were struggling to even get to the ball ups.
Yeah, right.
Because they're throwing up so quickly, they weren't really expecting.
It's always the overreaction, isn't it? From the new rule. But like with Sam, the other thing that you say as well is that people would go higher on Darcy because he's always going to have a forward. Like you take Track as a forward, then he loses it next year and he's
that's
and
true.
then you think, well,
at least someone like Darcy, you're going to keep it, eh?
Yeah, and you know he's always going to be a forward for most of his career.
He's not going to be anything else. Nah, he'll be forward. Yeah, so that's a fair point. Yeah.
So that's the balancing act of
keeper leagues, really.
Yeah, and your own opinion of I'd rather keep him because he's going to be a forward every single year. Yeah, he might average less.
Yeah.
But I think if you take out the game that he got injured, I think he averaged like 91 or 92.
Yeah, okay.
So you got to see how he goes. Obviously, I'm a massive Sam Darcy fan.
You are.
I froth him. I'll take him.
But he's so unstoppable. That's the thing. Like
put it on his head. No one's out marking him.
Correct.
He kicks goals. The problem is they're the dogs where they got a lot of mids that can get him the ball, but then what if they all go? Then what's going to happen to him? He needs the supply. It's a mix of he's unstoppable, but also he gets a lot of football.
And they're probably going to lose Treloar. They're probably going to lose Libber at the end of this season, and they're probably going to only have a couple more good years of Bont before he starts to kind of slow down a little bit as well. So
they got Levi West coming through, mate, father son this year.
They got Joel Fraser. They got
Riley
Sanders. They'll be right.
Who's going to join the Crows and then
right. Ed
get traded to Tasmania.
Ed Richards is only 26. He's right.
Yeah.
Anyway, 30 to 21. Let's go. Ed Richards, speak of the devil, is 30. Graham Myers, 29. Hugh McCluggage, 28. 27 is Jordan Clark. 26, Luke Jackson. 25, Zach Merritt. 24, Jai Caldwell. 23, Sam Flanders. 22, Caleb Sarong. And 21, Tom Green. I never thought I'd have Tom Green outside of the top 20 in his career, a couple of seasons ago.
That shocks me. Even Zach Merritt, man,
yeah, but he's more like, it's more that, because he's 30 more than anything.
I just think he gets you 110 every year, doesn't he?
Well, he didn't last year, though. That's the thing.
We'll get you 107 every year.
I think he got 105 last year.
Yeah, still.
It kind of drops out a little bit. Tom Green, I'm just not sure he's a 100-plus guy.
Nah.
I think Callahan's overtaken him as that 100-plus guy.
Well, I think Callahan averages like 15 handball receives or something.
Yeah.
The most in the comp. So Tom Green's going, here you go, mate. Have a run.
Yeah, and you get the kick. So.
And doesn't need to do, if they want to be a better team, Tom Green doesn't need to be taking marks at halfback. And all that. He just win the ball on the inside, spread forward, use your power.
There is talk that it might, with Clayton Oliver coming to the side, it might free him up a little bit. But then I feel like, what does he do then? I still think Callahan's going to be on the receiving end of most of that sort of stuff. So
does that hurt Tom Green with another pig in the trough next to him?
Who knows? Have to wait and see. So that's probably my justification for dropping it down a bit. Same with Sarong. They play much better contested games than piggish games these days. So they kind of drop down a little bit. But in terms of where they're going in ADP, they're actually pretty bang on. 21's actually their overall ADP rank. 22 is the same for Sarong. Flanders is the other one. A lot of people come at me saying Flanders is way too high, overvalued. Only had one good season, rah rah rah. But when I look at him, he's a 100-plus midfielder. That's what I see him as. And you could go Darcy or Thilthorpe, who are probably in that same conversation was to forwards. But I still think you're probably getting 15 points upside, which is about the gap I reckon, between a good mid and a good forward.
I agree.
15 points is probably a bit overs, like, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm more than happy to go with Flanders. I know he's going to lose forward status, all that sort of stuff, but I still think he's a 100 to 105 mid most seasons after this year.
To me, you're getting a 105 mid at pick 23, 24.
Yeah.
That's worth a punt.
Yeah, correct. So
he's going to average...
And the best forward in the game probably this season.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's probably worth it. I reckon that forward for the one season, especially if you're contending or you aim to contend early, it's a pretty handy thing to have.
Yeah, you just draft him knowing he's a mid,
Yeah.
and you're just lucky that he has forward status with you.
Correct. All right, let's go from 20 to 11. Josh Dunkley, Colby McKercher at 19, 18 Matt Rao, 17 Andrew Brayshaw, 16 Lockie Ash, 15 Jordan Dawson, 14 Zach Butters, 13 Marcus Bontempelli, 12 Finn Callahan, and 11 Max Holmes. I'm big on McKercher when you look at the ADPs. He's gone at 34, but like from all preseason reports, he's just going to be one of those halfback.
Yeah,
all the balls going through him.
Halfbacks his.
Yeah.
He's a gun, man. Like junior year was unbelievable. Just that run and carry, mark, kick, chase, overlap, like just loves getting the footy in hand.
I reckon if he's not 100 plus average this year, he is next year. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm throwing him up there. I think people are pretty high on Butters, and I think he will probably be averaging 110 after his first 5 games, but I think he comes back to the pack after that.
Yeah,
and I think long term as well.
I'm not a big Butters man.
He's going 7 overall.
In terms of fantasy. 7 overall.
Yeah,
I just think he has too many games where he gets 40.
Yeah, correct.
To justify being ceiling great, but to me, I'd want that as my second or third pick rather than my M1.
This is what I'm finding hard. Like the picks of Josh Dunkley, 29, Dawson's 28, and Bont, who's 30. But I've got Bont highest out of the 3. But it's purely because Bont is a player that you chuck the C on and you just win. You'll win the game. Like you'll win your fantasy matchup. Whereas someone like Jordan Dawson was really susceptible to being like going forward and that sort of stuff as well. Dunkley I reckon probably should be up where Dawson is, but he's that extra year older. He's got 2 issues at the moment, 2 injury issues. He's not really training at the moment. And like Dunkley always find he's like starts off low but finishes pretty well.
Yeah. Just it works into the season as it goes on. And I think especially when the game gets a lot slower and there's more tackles and inside, that's when he tends to really go. So he's a middle of the season kind of player. Whereas
that makes sense.
Butters and Walsh and all these speedy blokes that are start strong because the game's a lot quicker.
Well, like Will Day last year, everyone's saying like he's going to go big, and then once it starts to slow down, he gets hurt. Yeah, it's up thing.
And that's when Dawson and Bont and Tom Green and Dunkley tend to just
that's fair.
grind through that
Good
season.
way to look at it, actually. Let's go from 10 to 1. Coming at number 10 is Tristan Cherry. Or is it Sherry? I can never remember.
Xeri.
9,
big X, mate. That's what you say.
9, Noah Anderson. Should drop him back if he's going to be playing forward, though. 8, Tim English. 7, Will Ashcroft. 6, Connor Rosie. 5, Bailey Smith. 4, Errol Goulden. 3, Nazai Wanganeen-Miller. 2, Nick Dacos. And number 1, Harry Sheasel. I reckon I've got Rosie high, but I think if he's got the halfback role, it is just the easiest scoring role to just back in each week.
He's going to absolutely junk it up, man.
Yeah. So, and I reckon he holds it too, because I think if Birdman goes into that midfield full time, like he sticks with that role for a fair while and just dictates play across that halfback line. He's basically like the new Dan Houston, but we'll get more of the footy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dan Houston was in your 100.
What's that?
Dan Houston's not in there.
Yeah, I traded him into my team this week, but I only gave up Jack McRae, who's also not in my top 100, so I thought that was a bit of a win.
Fair.
Yeah.
I agree on Rosie. Look, with Noah, I wouldn't worry about moving forward.
Yeah.
He was taking kickouts in the match in the week before, so
yeah.
I think they know what Noah is. They're just sort of getting his legs ticked over in the preseason.
I think with Gold Coast as well, they're all going to be doing a bit different things because like they want to give these 3 are running the midfield this week, so you guys go off and do other things for the week and build your fitness and do other things. I think it's more something
and just get through. I don't need Noah Anderson banging into Christian Petrarca in February.
I think once they get into the season, it's like they'll play their best. Yeah, but now they're just trying things.
And he's a gun man, inside, outside, mid, wins his own ball, spreads, gets marks, kick goals, like just an absolute superstar. 9's probably a slide almost, you could say.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's where he's going overall as well, so I thought that was pretty even. I'm bigger on Will Ashcroft than most. He's 15 overall for people. I think he elevates this season, though. I think Neil probably takes a bit of a step back this season, just with all the off-field shit. Plus, I don't think he's going to be there after this season. He's probably going to move clubs or retire. So I think Will Ashcroft just goes that next level. And I think the issue with Ashcroft, his scores fluctuation was just maturity. But now that you've got a second Norm Smith under your belt, he's going to have so much confidence, and I reckon he's just going to go next level.
Yeah, just broke up with his missus as well.
Yeah, well, he's going to have a big year then, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to be absolutely on fire. Oh, yeah, he's a gun, man. And maybe the knee has just slowed that progression, but you're a two-time Norm Smith. He's in the best team in the comp, best midfield in the comp. So they're going to win a lot of easy.
He'll probably be the best player in the comp.
Yeah, he's that good, Ben.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get into your top 10 draftee ranks. So
no pressure.
No pressure. Well, last year, like I said, this went off. This was my like I said, highest performing Spotify. Also my highest performing YouTube.
Wow.
I don't usually get over 500 views on YouTube. I'm getting a lot more this pre-season. Don't know why. But yeah, it was like one that just popped and came up on the algorithm for a lot of people, I think, as well. I say popped, got 500 views, but
hey mate,
it's better than
double than the next one.
It's better than
the
the 90 that I usually get.
Yeah,
all right, let's give us. Who's your number one?
Well, I've been going back and forth on this one a fair bit. Like we said before, with the weaker draft, throw a blanket over.
Yeah.
But for me, number one is Willem Dersma.
You're backing in the Dersma. He's number one for a reason, I guess.
Number one.
Give us your reasoning.
So, average 106 in the Coats, 95.5 in the under 18s, and played 2 VFL games and averaged 80. So, or 79.5, so 80 round up. So 19 games, it's 101 average for the season. He was Vic Country MVP, he was Gippsland Power MVP. I think he came second in the Morris Medal, which is the Coach Talent League medal. All-Australian under 16s, All-Australian under 18s, athletic, can do it all. He's probably more of an outside mid, and I think at West Coast he's going to get an opportunity to be an inside-outside mid. But throughout this year, like he played forward mid for Gippsland, he played defence for Casey, he played defence for Vic Country. He's a very well-rounded footballer, and I think out of the draft he's the best well-rounded footballer, and he showed ceiling scores of 150 and a 140.
Yeah.
So to me, I think he's going to get the most opportunity because he's going to the worst team in the comp.
I think for me, Willem is like, it's like I just want him, like I just don't want to be wrong in my opinion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I look at the signs. And like he doesn't look like a bad player when I watch his like performances and his junior stuff and things like that. It's more the outside thing. Like I see him as an outside player or a halfback flanker. If he's a halfback flanker, he's good. Like even though he didn't really play there that much as a junior, that's the kind of body type and the way he plays when I watch him. I just get visions of that, either a wing or a halfback flanker. Kind of like Xavier type deal. Yeah. And that's just the vision I get, and that's just what spooks me. And I might be justified in that opinion, but I might be wrong at the same time. And I'm happy to just let him slide, that's all.
He's 193 centimetres.
Bigger than the other brothers.
Yeah, he's taller, very good at, loves a little specky pack mug, very good above head, but also good at feet. Crafty, finds a goal. Like, just that well-rounded footballer has been, since the 3-4 years of his juniors, like, just consistent performances, pumping out 90s, 100s, then had those ceiling games where he goes 150s, 140s.
Yeah.
The only mark on him would probably be maybe his kicking consistency, but I think he's actually just trying to show off and take on too much rather than just taking the simple option.
I'll take that out of him eventually.
Yeah, but I think at West Coast starts on a wing, and then I look at it. It's literally got Harley Reid, man. That's it. So he can be the inside-outside mid, I think.
Yeah,
and he's good runner, smart. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
All right, let's move on to number 2. Who you got next?
Yeah, Zeke Yulin, number 2, Gold Coast Academy. Errol Goulden, man, 2.0.
Yeah, that's enough. That's all I need to hear.
Yeah, just really, really good. Missed most this year with a stress fracture in his back.
Yeah.
But then came back and played 4 VFL games.
Did an 80 plus in there, I think.
Yeah, I think it was a 90 in there as well. And the year before he went at 84 and played VFL, was the Allies MVP as a bottom major, was All-Australian as a bottom major. Has ceiling, but just gut running, footy smarts, left foot class. That's all you need to know about Errol. Zeke.
Freudian slip. I'm happy with that. I agree with that comparison is enough. If you've Errol Goulden type, also just like at Gold Coast, seems like they got rid of Fiorini because that wing's not yours anymore, Braden. Yeah, but they've kind of come straight in, and I feel like he just slots straight in this season.
Yeah, as a bottom major, he had scores of 134 and 121. So has shown he has ceiling, and I think you'll find that they want the ball in his hands a lot.
I don't need any more justification. Who you got at number 3?
Now this is going to be controversial.
I know what happens here.
I know that some people didn't even have this man in the top 10 ADP.
He wasn't in the top 10 of the ADP, no.
But for me, it's Sam Cumming at Richmond.
Yep. Sell it to the listeners.
Just one of the most well-rounded footballers.
You said that about Buddy Dersma.
Nah. Yeah, I did. But Sam Cumming he's my favourite player in the draft, man. I love him.
I know that.
I love to watch him. He played 4 Sandford games this year, played Sandford under-18s, was with SA for the under-18s as well. For me, he had one game when he played league and he had 21 touches, kicked 3 goals, 111. Then the next week hurt his shoulder on 3, and that was his season done. So on the surface, only averaged 78 across all comps from his 12 games. But to me, when I watch him, he's got speed, he wins his own footy, he's tough, but then he spreads on the outside, very good above head, takes a mark, kicks a goal. And what I will say about South Australia is they allow their players to play in multiple positions, which allow them to add craft and depth to their game rather than just being a mid. And Sam Cumming, to me, could be the best player in this draft because he's got the inside-outside, Noah Anderson's Dacos, where he can win his own footy and he can spread and he kicks a goal.
Well, you make a pretty compelling case. I think on the plus side, the positive of that, though, is as well, like I just looked at his ADP. He's ranked about 175th overall in terms of ADP, which is low. Like, you're picking him as like your last picked player on the field. So some people are going to get a steal, I think. So that's probably a good way to look at it.
And then when he was a bottom major in the under 18 comp, won the MVP in the sample. So he's got pedigree. He's got a Rosie kind of esque movement through stoppage. That little, win the footies, little step, handball move.
Well, Rosie's a player I didn't see being a fantasy player.
Yeah.
First joined the comp as well. So.
And then I look at Richmond's team and I think, Smiley's a bit more cripsy. You got Lawler's a bit more dusty. Taj Hotton's in there. And I just think they don't really have anyone that's like Sam Cumming. And I feel like that's going to...
McAuliffe's a bit more hoppery.
Yeah. Vlosten in an interview said that he's absolutely dominating preseason. So
I heard a little tidbit that he might have been playing across half-back to start off with as well. I don't know
potentially,
if that. So that might be good for fantasy scoring as well. All right, I'll allow you to have that one. I know you wanted to get your boy Sam Cumming in there up high. So who's at number 4?
Dan Annabelle.
So he's my number 1.
Well, if he wasn't at Brisbane, he'd be my number 1.
Yeah.
So just Ashcroft, Neil, McCluggage, Berry, Rayner, Bailey. Like,
I'm looking 5 years' time though.
Yeah, is a keeper league.
Yeah, I know. But like, it's fair. It's fair. Like people will pick people like Sharp because he will probably get a good role early and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like I said, you continue. Keep going.
Well, he averaged 114 in the Talent League this year. He's been at Brisbane since he's 12 years old, so there's a lot of time and money that goes into him. He's basically Lockie Neal 2.0, clean at the stoppages, very good by hand. But what he's added is he's trying to, at that forward, that burst, that's inside outside mid that we said about Cumming or what potentially Dersma could be. But he's going to a very good Brisbane team, and I just think that he's played 7 or 8 VFL games this year, averaged 114 in the coach, showed ceiling. He's had scores of, what's the read here? I think he had like a 134.
Yeah, it was a good average
in the coach. So I think All Australian as bottom major, All Australian as a top ager, second in the Lark medal. I'm just a big fan of Annabelle. The only knock is that he's gone to Brisbane, who are absolutely stacked.
Yeah, I see the Brisbane thing did scare me initially, but like you said, if he's the next Neil, then surely if Neil's going to be leaving, I know we just kind of talked up Will Ashcroft for that reason, but like I reckon they find a spot for him. They found a spot for all of them so far, and they've all been reasonable in their first year. Like even like Levi Ashcroft, he went 70 plus last year, didn't he?
Yeah,
like
correct.
I can see him doing the same because I can see McCluggage moving back to a wing and letting these kids, throw them in there when you got a tough game. But I can also see like some of the easy games, which is probably going to be a lot of them for Brisbane because they're a class above the rest of the competition.
Yeah.
Where those guys just vacate and they let these kids have a good run and stuff like that, which would be okay to start off with. Then I don't think Berry's too far from maybe even being not best 23.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Man.
Like maybe not straight away, but maybe 2 or 3 years. I can see McCluggage moving back to the outside to let these kids flourish. They're just so stacked, and like I reckon part of the reason why I have a bit more confidence is because they're just going to run rings around the competition and be able to get it to kids like him, like because they've got guys feeding him on the outside as well.
Definitely. And last year they made him play a little bit forward in the VFL and things like that, so they know that at the AFL level that's probably where he's going to get that first game. Callum Archie left, so maybe there's a role in that half forward wing kind of role where Archie was. But then I'm looking at Levi did time forward, did time on the wing. Jasper Fletcher did time on the wing. So there's going to be a chance for him to get a game, I think, early. And then if Neil leaves or McBerry leaves or McCluggage or Dunkley's a bit older, it could just be Ashcroft, Annabelle.
Yeah.
In 2 years' time.
Triple A. Love it.
Triple A.
I love it. All right, he's number 5.
Dyson Sharp, most ready to go player in this draft. Been playing Samford for the last 2 seasons. So his numbers at Samford level don't look great because he's basically been playing as a high half forward for Centrals, and that's because the knock on him has been, he's a contested beast. We already know what he is. He needs to develop some forward craft or develop something else to his game, and it's almost like he's been so good for so long that everyone knows what he's about. And that's kind of why he slid on draft night, I feel. So for me, when he actually plays against people, in his under 16 year, he had games where he had 52 touches, 44 touches, 41 touches, 39 touches. He averaged 37 touches for the season, and then went and played under 18s next year, and then by the back end of that year was playing league, playing Sandford. This year was only playing Sandford. Had one game where he scored 100 in the league, but then he went back and played under 18s and scored 120 and had like 35 touches.
Yeah,
most dominant player in the under 18 champs. Highest average was 107. Won the Luck Medal, which is the best player in the under 18 comp. SA dominated. He's gone to the Bombers, which I think there's going to be an opportunity. I know they got a lot of mids, but I think he's going to play. And because he's had that 2 years playing forward for Centrals, holds him in good stead to get a game.
Yeah. I put out a clip about us talking about him earlier, and you copped a bit of heat because you said Dyson Sharp had peaked. But I knew exactly what you meant. You meant physically, not in terms of his playing style. Like, he's already a man, you know what I mean? Like, playing amongst kids. And just, I approach these kind of things that aren't that rational. They're very emotional. But I look at just every time there's a kid, like we've been doing this podcast for since 2018, almost 8 years now. And like every time there's been a kid that like, oh, he's played against real men as a junior and that means he's going to be in better stead as an AFL player, it very rarely eventuates. The only one that like I feel like it actually happened for like lock and play was Shannon Hearn, but it actually took him like 6 or 7 years to become a good fantasy player. Anyway, you know what I mean? Like, so I always that's the kind of my logic I always use is just going on recent history. The player that played seniors as a junior, very rarely. Like, I think, who's the North? He's at North Melbourne. He was at Sydney. He's from Norwood. Dylan Stevens.
Yep.
Like he was playing against men as a kid and he was just rubbish. Like,
no good.
It always happens. Like, and that guy went from Sydney, Will, he was at Glenelg and went to Sydney he played a whole season, played in the grand final for Glenelg, beat Port in the grand final. Will someone, he was in everyone's fantasy teams as a backman because I don't think he even played a game ever. He was just 99k.
Oh,
each year. Will.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Anyway.
And he hardly got a game for Sydney.
Yeah, never played. Like, there's always one of them. And like Dyson Sharps does seem to be the next category above, like next level above these kind of guys, although those guys were top 10 picks as well. But I don't know. That's just
Sharp's 13, so he's all right.
That's what I mean. Yeah. That's just what scares me about him. That's all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I just think he has shown ability to accumulate the footy and he's just a contested beast, man. That's just what he is.
Yeah.
He just finds the footy with these inside.
All right, let's try to get through. We're hitting up an hour. That's all. I just want to keep the listeners too long.
Sorry, mate.
No, it's not your fault, mate. I really like these draftees. I really like the next one too. Number 6, who you got?
Jacob Farrow.
Yes.
Another bomber.
Happy with that one.
I love Farrow, man. He's from WA. He wasn't even in WA squad at the start of the year. They told him to go away and work on his speed, which he did. Finally got a game. Had a couple ceiling games in the Waffle Colts of 147 and 134.
Will Gould was the name of that guy.
That's
Sorry, I just looked it up.
Yeah,
keep
that's
going.
the one. So he averaged 98 in the Waffle Colts, which is their like under 18 sort of reserves kind of vibe. And he went 90% by foot. So, good leg. There was one game where he literally took 4 bounces running out of defence and then laced someone in the 50. So, like, that speed, that burst, but really good by foot, takes a lot of marks. He's 189 centimetres. It's that Jordan Dawson, Hayden Young kind of type, bigger body, defender, good by foot, starts halfback, goes inside, averages 110 for the next 15 years.
Yeah, no, I really agree with this one. Like, I'm surprised you don't have him in your top 5, really. It's probably coming the one that's keeping him out of it. But, just that he just looks like a fantasy player, halfback flanker. The footage we're seeing out of Essendon is that, like, he's just ducking and weaving. He's bursting out of contests and stuff like that and away from packs and things like that. And he's got a little bit of support across that halfback line as well. Like, the thing, Essendon don't have a great list, but when you're playing with Ridley, you're playing with Redmond, you're playing with McGrath, you've got some senior figures there that they know that they're probably not going to be in Essendon's next premiership team. So they're going to know that their role is to develop a kid like Farrow as well and be giving him every opportunity to score well and score well.
Redmond said he looks like a 200-game player for the club.
Well,
so, that in him and Archie Roberts. No Nick Martin to, maybe get cheap footy down there as well.
Yeah.
I think, Farrow looking very, very good. And just that mould of what the modern footballer is, that, that defender that finally goes inside and those bigger bodies that win their contest and spread, like we sort of said. So
very happy with that one. Who you got at 7?
I'm not sure about this one.
Okay.
Sullivan Roby.
I'm not sure either, actually.
Look,
sell it.
Very small sample size on Sullivan Roby. He wasn't even in Eastern Rangers under 18 squad start of the year. Mm-hmm. Got dropped, went and played a couple of local games in like the Essendon Northern Football League.
Yep.
Finally came in. So he's grown 17 centimetres in the last 2 years or something. So he's a 192, big boy. To me, looks very clunky.
Yep.
rather than clean. But he had a game where he had 40 touches and kicked 3 goals and had 140. So, and then he averaged 89.2 from his 9 games in the Coats. They won the flag, Eastern Rangers. So and he had games where he's getting 30 touches and kicking a couple goals.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's more low possession, high impact player.
That's what I think.
But because he was small, he's got that footy smarts and knows how to play, and then he's obviously grown and now he's 190 centimetres. So he could be either a Jake Stringer kind of player or maybe a Cole Langford, like that third tall, or maybe he's a high half forward, or maybe he's an inside mid. But he had some back stress fractures before Christmas, so Bombers are sort of easing him in.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's grown heaps in the last 2 years. But it's power. It's,
I see him as like a Stringer or a DeGoey, you know, like one of those two. And he might not have a huge ceiling and might not have a consistent kind of, 400 or 500 plus average seasons. He probably won't be in that range, but could have 3 or 4 good 80 plus seasons and be a forward for your fantasy team.
And he's had the Bombers as well. So I think I've had 3 Bombers in a row there.
Yeah.
So again, is there an opportunity in that side?
There should be.
He's just going to ease into it. That's another thing you got to weigh up.
I've got him in their best 23 if he's not injured. So yeah.
Just think that 20 touches, couple goals a game. That's probably what he'll be. And you'll have games where you absolutely rip it apart.
All right, who you got at number 8?
Big Griever.
This is Hawthorn bias, plain and simple right here.
Nah, man. He's a gun.
Guy didn't even get drafted. Rookie draft.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's a gun, man.
It's because Sully Roby took his spot in the midfield. That's
correct.
Why.
So they're both from Eastern Rangers.
Yeah.
Greaves was in there to start the season. Then once Roby came in, Greaves went a lot more forward. So again, Greaves 191 centimetres, that tall forward mid, probably the exact sort of prototype of what the modern football, like what clubs love, that forward mid that gets 20 touches, kicks a goal.
Yeah.
Greaves had a game where he had 35 touches, kicked 4 goals, 172 in fantasy.
Yeah.
Gun, man, can do it all.
You talk about modern footballer though. There has been some knock on his speed, right? Though.
Correct. Yeah. But his contest is top tier. He's very clean inside, and then he's got that forward nous and kick goals.
Yeah.
Goes to Hawthorn, where I feel like there's opportunities in the midfield and we don't have a player who really like him. We've got probably more forwards who can run and go in the mids rather than, that midfielder who can go forward and burst and kick goals.
Yeah, okay. I know what you mean, yeah. Why, in your opinion, why do you think he slid in the draft?
Not to his football ability. I think it's more of his...
Between the ears?
Yeah. His personality kind of...
And the Hawks can fix that, you reckon?
I reckon, yeah.
All right.
I think it's a good club. But his one thing, though, his great uncle is Kaji Greaves, who the Geelong. Best and Fairest is named after.
Yeah.
He was meant to be Hawks NGA, but didn't get approved.
Yeah.
I think it's the main 2 knocks on him are defensive transition and tank.
Yeah.
So if he can improve that, then I think look out, because his ability to find the footy, use it, kick goals.
He's an actual footballer.
Yeah.
Hopefully the game transition.
And anyone that can get 172, man, I just think. And he had.
I did make a post on that when he did it. Like it was a monster fucking score.
He averaged 100 for the season in the Coats.
Yeah.
And he was Vic Metro's MVP. So you're telling me Vic Metro's MVP didn't get drafted? I just think.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, actually.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's.
Yeah.
He's all Australian as well.
He's also aware of the podcast. He gets in the DMs a bit as well. So.
Good man. Tell him to message me. I love him.
All right, I'll get him.
I'll get him a game of the Hawks.
All right, done. All right, let's move on to number 9.
Number 9, Duff Titler, big CDT.
The unicorn.
The unicorn. We've already got about 5 of them, so I'm not sure how much of a unicorn they are these days, but. Yeah, Duff Titler, forward ruck, will be a very slow burn. West Coast is going to play more as a forward to start.
He'll play though, won't he?
He'll play.
Yeah.
He will play.
That's going to be good for him.
I think their team of like Shanahan, Archer Reed, Duff Titler, like that's a great forward tools.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited for West Coast actually.
And like Waterman's not the worst player to kind of develop under. He's all Australian, like he's...
Not at all. So he only played 5 games in the Talent League, averaged 99, had a 130 in there, did play 1 VFL game for Essendon VFL, only had 67, but he kicked 3 goals 2 or 3 goals 1.
Yeah.
So you're like, 5 or 6 shots on goal. That's where he's going to start for the Eagles, forward of the ball. He's very good below his feet. His follow-up, his competitiveness, his tackling is good. And then he just needs to put on a bit on size and be able to ruck, and then you'll have another Luke Jackson kind of vibe. Models himself on TDK. That's the player he wants to be.
I reckon probably be even better than Luke Jackson, more so because I don't see him as forward first, ruck second. You know what I mean? I see him as ruck first and foremost, then probably midfielder second. Yeah. And I know Jackson's moving that way, but I think he'll be that sooner rather than later. You know what I mean?
Starting mid's going to be Matt, Flynn, Harley Reid, William Dersma, and Duff Titler.
Not too bad for the future. Eagles fan Dossie will be happy.
He was under 16s. He represented Australian basketball in the under 16 Asian Cup. And they
basketball
won.
Background.
Basketball background. So
that.
Just think about that forward. Like Jackson. It's Luke Jackson. It's the same kind of player, and he's shown he can score. I think in his bottom age year, he had a game where he had 3 goals and like 30 touches. So has shown he can find the footy and kick snags and ruck craft. Like
Yeah, no, I would have had him like probably up to 6 or 7. That's how much highly I rate him. I think he's a gun watching his highlights. All right, number 10. There's one player that's missing here that I think should be probably sitting there at either 3 or 4. What's the go? Who you got at 10?
Josh Lindsay.
Yeah, got him in there.
So this would be, I think you'd swap Sam Cumming and Josh for 10 and put Josh Lindsay in
Probably,
at 3.
yeah, probably. I might have Lindsay ahead of Greaves and maybe Roby. Might have Cumming, ahead of Roby, maybe. But I'd probably have Tyler up further as well.
Yeah, true.
There
Josh Lindsay, probably the best kick in the draft. That sort of touch kick, really good out of half back. Just the thing for me, so he averaged 75 in both under 18s and Coates, like the MVPs. So MVPs, the under 18 champs. And I just think that he doesn't take enough marks. So that's the only knock I got on him.
Yeah.
He averaged, 75% of his touches in the national championship were uncontested, which is maybe from a fantasy point of view, that's pretty good.
Sounds pretty good to me.
But he only averaged 1 tackle a game. So for me, he just doesn't have that in and under contested, which again, if you're a halfback defender, you don't really want that. But also, that's probably the knock on him, why he might not get a game early, because that defensive side. So he's very outside footy smarts, use his kick, like he's an unreal leg. And that's just why I've got him sliding to 10, because I just think if he doesn't have the marks and that in his game yet, probably will get it.
Yeah.
But I think those other guys are I'm a bit more confident in what they will be.
Yeah. I can actually see him as like Harry Sheasel of this year's draft. That's how highly I rate him.
Yeah.
Mainly because like you put him at halfback in a shit side and just feed all the traffic through him, because he's such a good user of the ball. I reckon he'll start taking kick-ins like straight up.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. He's a good user of the footy, and I reckon he just sits on the halfback line, plays pretty uncontested footy, and they just feed the ball through him. And he might not go at the same clip in terms of fantasy scoring, because like West Coast just don't score. You know? But I think he could be a 75 plus kind of guy, and then move as the West Coast get better, move into being that kind of 90 average halfback flanker. Like he doesn't do anything else but kick the ball. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
you want the ball in his hands.
Yeah. And I think West Coast might try to slow play a little bit, and they might get a few extra marks and chipping things around. Like, they'd be crazy to just go attack. So I think he can lift that, even though we didn't see it at the junior level, Yeah.
So that's, if he gets 3 extra marks, that's probably an extra 15 points.
What was his average as a junior? Did you have that there?
75.
Marks. Do you have marks numbers there or anything?
I think I think he only had 1 game over like 6 marks or 5 marks.
That's low, yeah.
Fair enough. It was like just those 2-3 marks a game. But then I think he's taking every kick out, so he's kicking to the bloke that marks it. You just swap that, then he goes up. Yeah. But for me, I just think he needs to just have that in his game where I want to take more marks rather than just being the uncontested sort of around the back, a little handball kick.
Well, at least you got Lindsay in there in the end. I'm not upset now. I'll have you back on the podcast after this.
Yeah, okay.
Almost was about to kick you out. Anyway, so that's Dersma, Yuland, Cumming, Arnable, Sharp, Farrow, Roby, Greaves, Duff Tyler, and Lindsay to round out the top 10. If you're a member of the podcast, stick around. Go to the website and check out the extra bits that we put up there from this week's episode. We're actually going to talk about a few more draftees after the podcast, maybe like a 5-10 minute chat on a few more after that, just to give the members something extra to listen to. If you're not a member, link in the description below. Sign up, check it out. Let's get through these questions quickly. There's not a heap this week, thankfully. Scott Warwick wants to know, for a new keeper league, what pick does Nick Martin get drafted? Like I said, I've ranked him in the top 50, but I think the smart play is around that kind of 100, 110 mark, because you're just conceding this year. You're conceding this year if you take him. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But if you still pick a good team around him, you're happy to try to win second year. I think around 100 is probably around the go. But in terms of what I'd trade him for, if mid-season, if I'm like down and out, like I'd be trading him for some of these guys like that are up around like, the 30 mark, even into the 20s, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
and try and move him on.
Yeah, like if you got, Jai Caldwell offer for Nick Martin, you take that, and he's going at, in the 30s, you know what I mean? Like even Tom Green, like would you go that high? Trade Tom Green for Nick Martin? Like I'd probably go close.
Depends where you are.
So that's what I mean. Like if you're down and out and you've got...
I don't know. Some people can be pretty stubborn with like their first couple of picks.
True.
I'm building this team and I want this guy. But
yeah,
I think for me, I'd probably be taking him around that 80 to 100 because I like him a lot. But and I know he's going to be forward next year.
That's a big factor, isn't it? Steve Canton wants to know, when rebuilding in a deeper Dynasty league, how do you weigh a single elite A-plus talent like Dacos or Goulden versus having 3 or 4 younger players like Ward, Jagger and Newcomb? I reckon I would take Dacos over 3 or 4 of those players you listed below. You know what I mean?
Same, man.
Like, they are generational. You know, and there's like, Newcomb's been around long enough to know that he's probably not going to be anything more than an 85 type of guy.
Yeah.
Hawthorn players don't really score.
Maybe Jagger
could be anything.
Is the exception to the rule because he's probably more a Dacos Goulden type rather than a 90 mid.
People here in the Discord and stuff like that will probably know that I play it safe more than I take a risk. You know what I mean? I'd rather play it safe and maybe lose 5-10 points in the long run than take a risk and fuck it up completely. You know what I mean?
Great.
So
I just think how many in the league, how many Dacoses are there, and in the league, how many Newcombs are there?
Yeah,
so you can find an 85, 90 guy to fill your M4.
Yeah, you can have a Dacos and a Newcomb. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't need to trade down to 3 of those.
A plus talent's almost like Dacos is almost, once you have him, you're not letting him go unless someone's offering something like. Not 3 or 4 guys. Someone's offering you 6 or 7 or 8.
No way would I trade him for those 3. At all.
Nah, he's just different gravy, man. So, yeah. Like we said,
take the A+ talent every day of the week.
Yeah, every day of the week.
Avatar Johal wants to know who's the best long-term prospect out of Grill and Cumming for Supercoach. Now, Grill strikes. Did you have Grill in your top 10?
No.
Wow. All right. Well, although I can't really fault any of the top 10 that you didn't have there. I just figure that he would be. Maybe Cumming, the guy out for it. Grill, to me, looks like Zach Butters when he plays.
He does.
And Zach Butters is right now the 3rd ADP pick for Supercoach in keeper leagues at the moment. So I'm going to go with Grill.
I'm taking Cumming.
You're always going to take Cumming, so split there.
I think Grill, the Sizzler could be very, 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 very good.
Yeah,
but
Supercoach
again,
as well.
Yeah. I just think Cummings, in my mind, not that I play Supercoach, but Supercoach is normally, if you're a good footballer, you're a good Supercoach player. And to me, Cummings is going to be the better footballer.
All right, we'll take that. But we'll split the votes evenly between us. And Tom Agnew wants to know, are you hearing much about Xavier Taylor from Melbourne?
Yeah, lock for round 1.
Oh, I heard that too. Yeah. Fantasy-wise, what's your take?
Probably goes like a 60 or 70.
Yeah, what do you think long-term though?
Like one of those third talls.
I think Josh 75.
Josh Battle, man. I reckon gets a few marks. We'll have games where he goes off, games where he does not, whatever. He's just a bit more defensive craft. And
that's what I see. Like, he's not all out attack. He can defend, but he's athletic and he can take marks and he looks nice, like when he kicks and stuff like that. But you draft these players to be good defenders, not for the attacking side of things, I think. But it's just if they can attack, it's the bonus, you know what I mean? So I reckon that's how to describe Taylor.
With Mays on leave, Lever's going to be a couple more years till he's done. Like, he could almost be the next key defender that's going to be the second or first key defender. He's not maybe that tall, but that's kind of where he's leaning rather than more of a...
That's fair, depending on what they draft and recruit going forward. But right now... It's probably,
he can run and carry, don't get me wrong, but I just think that's not why they drafted him.
Yeah, true that. All right, that'll wrap it up for this week. Thanks heaps, Matty, for coming on and preparing a top 10 list for our listeners, even if it did have Josh Lindsay at 10.
And Sam coming at 3.
I don't mind that, actually. It's fine. But yeah, I'm just a big Josh Lindsay fan, more so than the coming one. Anyway, where can our listeners find you?
Yeah, just Matty D'Sena
on the X.
On the X, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, get around our stuff at Keeper League Pod on all the socials. Make sure you sign up as a member if you want to support the podcast. I'm about 50 members backwards from last year. So if anyone wants to support the show and they get good use out of this podcast or like the information or just get some entertainment out of it, please sign up and support because it will keep it going into the future. And make sure you get around our sponsors, Keeper. We both play on the Keeper platform. It's the best platform for Keeper Leagues. If you're not playing on Keeper, I'm going to say it, you're not taking your Keeper League seriously. You're treating your Keeper League with disrespect.
You are.
Right? So
it's the only way to play.
Get on the Keeper platform. Support Ryan Power. He's built this for us. It's a good thing. Anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.